Call this meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Meeting tonight, will the clerk take attendance?
Councilmember Collins is absent this evening, and Councilmember Chiltonburn is running behind.
And she's just coming in now. All right, approval of the agenda. Entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Niemeyer,
Aye.
Wendell,
Aye.
Avery,
Aye.
Bacon,
Aye.
Brink,
Aye.
Chiltonburn.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, open forum. Is there any member of the public who wish to address the council on an item not listed on tonight's agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on. Consent agenda. Are there any items to be removed from the consent agenda? Seeing none, entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Any public comments on this item? Seeing none, any questions from the council? Comments? Please call the roll.
Chiltonburn,
Aye.
Wendell,
Aye.
Avery,
Aye.
Bacon,
Aye.
Brink,
Aye.
Niemeyer.
Aye. Okay, item 6, presentations and reports. We have a proclamation here. Chris Harbach was not available tonight, so we're just going to read this for him and send it to the to Chris, right? All right. Mayoral Proclamation. Whereas there are an estimated 37 million adults in the United States with kidney disease and 1 in 3 adults in the U.S. that are at risk. And whereas most people are unaware that the risk factors of kidney disease include diabetes, heart disease, smoking, high blood pressure, obesity, and family history. And whereas people who are Native American, Asian American, Black or African American, Hispanic or Latino are at increased risk for developing kidney disease. And as whereas the month of March is National Kidney Month, and March 10th, 2022 is World Kidney Day. Now there be it resolved that I, O.P.G. Niemeyer, Mayor of the City of Brookings, do hereby proclaim March 2022 as National Kidney Month. And we'll send that to the appropriate party. Okay, introduction of new and promoted City Brookings employees. Our Chief of Police, Dave Erickson, will introduce 2 employees. One's a promoted, and we have a new patrol officer, Brian Schur.
Yeah, good evening, Council. Yes, at first I want to bring Rhett Larson up. So Rhett has been with our department for 4.5 years now. He worked in construction, kind of ran his own construction company there for a little while. And prior to that, he attended the other university and got his degree in criminal justice and political science. So watch out, Council. Here's might be our future council member here. But no, so he graduated from USD with those 2 degrees. Since coming to the police department, he's been a field training officer. He's on our special response team, and just really has been an outstanding example of what a police officer and what a leader should be. And so he was recognized with the promotion to patrol sergeant here just within the last few weeks. So, yeah. Next, actually, I'd like to bring Brian Schur up. 5 months, we're a little bit tardy on getting this introduction done, but we were pleased to have Brian join us. He came with a lot of experience. He was with the Brookings County Sheriff's Office for 2 years, a little over 2 years. Prior to that, he was with the Marshall County Sheriff's Office for about 2 years as well. So he is here and has a wife, a new wife, and a new boy too that they've welcomed to their family, and all 3 are residing here in Brookings. So we're very happy to have him, the talent, skills, and experience that he brings to our department. So,
If you gentlemen have any comments, you certainly can state those right now. Otherwise, I invite the council to go down and shake hands or do fist bumps, whichever way you want. Oh, yeah.
now, now you get your picture taken. So.
All right, smiles, everyone.
And Brian, if you'd want to stay up here for a minute, and while council members are taking their seats, I want to introduce a few members of our Brookings Police Department Foundation. The foundation is here to support our officers in a variety of different ways, and one of those ways is offering them some welcome baskets. So I'll turn it over to my wife, Julie, who's is on the board. I got Jeff West and Steve Timmerman.
I'm going to turn it over to Jeff West, who is our Vice President.
That was quick. The Brookings Police Department Foundation, for those of you who may not know, is a not-for-profit. We're dedicated to supporting the men and women of the police department in everything that they do to help keep this community safe. And we do that through fundraising, and we use that money for training, education, equipment, and support during officer crisis situations. And one of our traditions is that we put together a little welcome basket for all the new officers coming on board. And I'm going to let Steve take over now. Thank you.
So the welcome baskets are coordinated by us, but because of what the officers do to support our community and protect our community, we have a lot of grateful businesses that have supported this endeavor. I'm just going to quickly list the names of the businesses that help out with this. We have Nick's Burgers, State Theater, Blue Tide Car Wash, Adam Holmquist from State Farm, Wooden Legs, Justin Froyland from Fairway Mortgage, Pints and Courts, Micro Donuts, Sunflower Salon, Champion Health, Ohms TV and Appliance, Outdoor Adventure Center, Carrot Seed, Runnings, Backyard Grill, Slumberland, and Dakota Bank. So those are all businesses, and we know there's more that also support our officers, but those are ones that have been grateful enough to help us out with this. And we do this as a way to also introduce the officers to the community so they have some things to connect them with services and goods that they may not otherwise be aware of. So on behalf of the board of the foundation, we give this to you. We have two different things for you to take. And as an aside, Chief Erickson on his hobby horse does the baskets for us with the box, and he puts the officer's number on it for him as well. So welcome to the department.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you. SDSU Student Association report. Anna Shane is here to give us a run-up of what's going on.
Good evening, Mayor and Council members. I'm Student Association. Last week, SA passed Resolution 2125R. SDSU Student Association recognizes the month of February as Black History Month and encourages students to attend events that highlight and celebrate Black History Month. This resolution discusses the history of Black History Month, but also requires that all of our senators attend one of the many Black History Month events put on by BSA or the Multicultural Office. We also heard from 3 more clubs and organizations on how they used their funds last year from SA as we approach budgeting marathon, which is the weekend of March 4th already. Additionally, we made another trip to Pier last week to testify in front of House of Propes in favor of HB 1245, asking for tuition balancing appropriation. This would help cover the projected 4.5% increase in tuition next year if the state employee salaries increase by 6%. The bill did fail, but we were also able to watch House Bill 1137 for the high performance computing appropriation for SDSU pass that committee 6-0 with flying colors. So that was a win for the day. The Student Promotion Fund Committee received an event funding application from the Rodeo Club for the SDSU Jackrabbit Stampede in April. So the committee will be reviewing that application on Friday morning and reach a decision. The campus climate survey is live, and so the university is encouraging everyone to participate in that survey by that independent firm to assess the overall university culture. So we're really encouraging that right now. And then there is also another COVID vaccine clinic in the Union tomorrow offering first, second, and boosters. So this concludes my report. I'll stand by for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. All right. All right, so we move on to item 7, contracts and change orders. Item 7A, action on resolution 22-016, authorizing change order number 1 for pavement maintenance and rehabilitation project. Varner, is that how it's pronounced? Asphalt Sealers LLC. Charlie Richter, our city engineer, will.
Good evening, everyone. I'm here tonight requesting approval for a resolution on change order number 1 for the 2021 pavement rehabilitation project with Varner Asphalt Services. The original contract was for $174,800. The proposed change order is for $12,826.39 for additional pavement markings performed at the airport during this rehabilitation. Contract value will be $187,709.05, of which 100% will be fully reimbursed by the FAA. Staff recommends approval.
Thanks, Charlie.
So moved. Second.
Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, close public comments. Council have any questions or comments? Please call the roll.
Wendell,
Aye.
Aye.
Avery, Bacon,
Aye.
Brink,
Aye.
Niemeyer,
Aye.
Tilton Burn.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 7B, action on resolution 22-015, awarding bids on 2022-05 SWR concrete maintenance project. Charlie Richter, our engineer, will review this item also.
Requesting approval of resolution 22-015, awarding the bid for the 2022 maintenance project. This project is for the improvements to be made at 8th Street South and Main Avenue. Improvements include replacement of the existing asphalt surface with concrete, a new video detection system for the traffic signals, and new pedestrian push buttons. The lowest bidder for the project was Bose Construction with their total bid $262.45, which was less than the engineer's estimate. Staff recommends approval of the resolution and award to Bose Construction.
Thank you, Charlie. Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, close public comment. Does the council have any questions or comments? Please call the roll.
Avery,
Aye.
Bacon,
Aye.
Brink,
Aye.
Niemeyer,
Aye.
Tilton Burn,
Aye.
Wendell.
Aye.
Okay. 7C, action on resolution 22-018, awarding bids on 2022-09 STI freight on board quartzite chip material. Charlie, you're on board.
I'm here requesting approval of resolution 22018, awarding the bid for the this material is the aggregate used when the city chip seals the streets. The lowest bidder was Spencer Quarries with their low bid of $37,600, which is lower. Staff recommends approval and award of this contract.
Okay. Entertain a motion to approve. Been moved and seconded. Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, is there any council or questions, comments? Please call the roll.
Bacon?
Aye.
Brink?
Aye.
Niemeyer?
Aye.
Tildenburn?
Aye.
Wendell?
Aye.
Avery?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Charlie. Item 8, ordinances and first readings. Item 8A, introduction and first reading on ordinance 22-008, authorizing supplemental budget appropriation number 2 to the 2022 budget, parts 1, 2, and 3. Eric Rangel, our CFO, will.
Good evening, Council. Yes, this ordinance is to request authorization for the supplemental appropriation number 2 to the 2022 budget. And like Ob said, it's consists of parts 1, 2, and 3. All right. The part number 1 contains unspent funds from the 2021's budget. We're carrying forward these funds because they weren't used, because the projects were not completed or the equipment was not delivered. High level, I'm gonna mention the general fund items for a total of $292,350,000. It contains project work, risk management, equipment supplies, community events, and marketing initiatives. For the Capital Improvement Projects Fund, we're requesting a total of $2,387,308. And the items in it are project work, equipment supplies, maintenance, and grant matching funds. And lastly, in this part, for the other funds, we have the Swiftville Center for $28,000, storm drainage fund for $904,000, the airport for $45,000, solid waste collections for $290,000, the landfill for $975,000, and then the overpass capital project for $4.1 million. This totals $6,395,660. Now, I will remind yourselves and the public that all the items are itemized in the Appendix A from the attachment in this paper, in case you would like to see any individual items for these numbers as well. Moving on to part number 2, this consists of initiatives that were not funded initially in 2022 and we've identified as key initiatives, and we're proposing to fund this with the estimated surplus for 2020's result. So moving to the general fund, we're requesting a total of $1.1 million, and the different items in it are the COVID operation contingency, which is funded by ARPA funds. We have equipment supplies, we have employee development initiatives, an inflation adjustment as a contingency given the high inflation that was not forecasted earlier, risk management initiatives, recruiting and hiding initiatives, utilities, our gas prices have gone considerably higher than what we budgeted for, temporary labor to help the operations, private donation grants. We expect more legal activity and marketing initiatives, and also we have more subsidies as well. These totals $856,397 for the general fund. All right, for the other funds, we have the CIP fund. Our operations, we're requesting $144,000, grant matching $50,000, private donation and grants $32,000, and project work for $20,000. Library donations, we're requesting the expense for a grant received for $49,000. Airport, our risk management initiatives, as well as the golf course and the solid waste collection, the landfill, and E911. And storm drainage and RT Center, they're all risk management initiatives for a total of $292,069. All right, and the last part, these are priority initiatives that are proposed to be funded by the city reserves. These total $261,641. The initiatives are as follows. So the general fund would be subsidies, the $25,000 for mental health agencies, economic development for the marketplace development for $20,000. The liquor store are risk management and utilities adjustments. the landfill would be equipment and supplies for $172,000. And lastly, from the 3B would be a feasibility study for the Swiftville Center for $41,000. The total of these initiatives are $261,641,000, and again, these would be funded with the city reserves. And lastly, I would like to comment on the financial consideration for this budget amendment. So parts one and two for the general fund increases for the carry forward and the new initiatives, we're expecting to have a $509,000 surplus after factoring these expenses. In the CIP fund, we're estimating $79,000 of surplus after factoring all these proposed budget amendments. And lastly, for part three in the reserves, all reserves levels will be in compliance with the city comprehensive financial management policy after factoring in these proposed reserve uses. With that, I'll stand by for questions.
Any council questions? Councilmember.
I was curious if you could provide a little more detail on specifically what is the $296,000 going for the COVID mitigation and prevention. What types of things are actually being done with that money?
So it's sort of a contingency in case we hit a fourth, fifth wave. The things that we've used in the past are for the vaccination incentives, masks, COVID leave time where employees have, we pay for that in there. So it's really dealing with the unknown. That doesn't mean that we're going to spend it all. It's just to have that contingency there in case there's more incidents.
Okay. And then I'm curious about the economic development, $20,000 for the marketplace. Can you provide more details on what that is actually going for?
Actually, for legal services and other with that development, should we be able to do something with that this year?
Legal fees. Okay.
Any other council questions? Okay, first reading, we'll see this on March 8th again. Thanks, Eric. Item 8B, introduction and first reading on ordinance 22-009, rezoning Lot 2 of Block 13 of Morningside Addition from residence R1B Single Family District to a Planned Development District. Mike Struck, our Community Development Director, will.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. Ordinance 22-009 is a rezoning request to rezone property from residence R1B Single Family District to a Planned Development District on 22nd Avenue. For those watching at home and in attendance this evening, it's the property on the south side of the church, between there and the Park East Professional Office Building. This request went through a series of discussions. We had to do an amendment to our comprehensive plan because when we went through that planning process, this area was designated as a civic church. The church has since entertained the idea of selling the property off, and there's a purchase agreement that's pending, which the applicant is proposing this rezone to a commercial use, wanting to add additional development along 22nd Avenue. The original request came to the Planning Commission for a rezone. It was for a traditional B2 zoning request. Through discussions with the Planning Commission, they asked the applicant to reconsider other means, and so they sought the rezoning to a planned development district. A PDD typically is kind of varies from your traditional zoning ordinance in that there's some concessions that are typically made from our conventional zoning in exchange for enhanced design in the site, as well as the building materials. And then there's also some discussion that is had as far as the type of uses that are allowed, that you may restrict some of the uses that you would typically be allowed to do in a traditional zoning designation. So we did go through the process. It's also a multi-step process in that with the rezoning request, they need to submit an initial development plan, which is included in your packet, which kind of shows the site layout. And if approved, then it moves to, the applicant will be required to submit a final development plan, which is approved by the Planning Commission. It gets into much more detail on the site plan, but also the building materials, and the overall design of the structure itself. This did go before the development review team and staff, and we met with the applicant. There was not support for this rezoning request from the development review team. There's concerns from kind of an overall flow on the site itself, but there's also concerns from how it interacts with that intersection of Yorkshire and 22nd Avenue, in that there's concerns of southbound traffic wanting to make left turns to go east onto Yorkshire, northbound traffic wanting to make left turns to go west into the site. They will be conflicting in that turning lane. There's concerns there. So, potential compromise was reached to see if they could get access from the adjacent property to the south through an access easement. That, at the time of the Planning Commission meeting, was not achieved. It did go to the Planning Commission. Planning Commission did make an amendment to remove drinking establishments as a use in this particular situation, and the applicant agreed to that. And then it does come as a unanimous recommendation of 9-0 to approve the rezoning to a planned development district. As I mentioned, the development review team and staff do not support the request. We also feel there's some deficiencies in the flow of traffic on the site, in that there's basically a one-way flow that you have to go around the building, come in front of the site, and exit back out onto 22nd Avenue. There's concerns with the parking in front of the building. If vehicles get in there, there's not any available parking spots. They would have to back up to the north, and just causing some traffic congestion there as well. With that, I would stand for any questions you may have.
Questions or comments at this time? Okay, this one will be going before us on March 8th. Oh, public comment. Any public comment? Sorry.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Seth Scogan. I'd be the developer of the site. I'm assuming you've seen this, right? Do you have any questions that I could answer?
Is that site design set, be reconfigured at all?
It could still be, if approved. I'll meet with a architect and civil engineers and go through that process. And once I come up with more plans, it goes back to planning and zoning.
Right.
That's
This isn't really the I understand anyway, so.
No, it's not.
That are recommended to get an easement to get access other than just one outlet?
I've discussed with as of right now, they don't want to approve, or they don't want one, but I mean, the conversation could still be had.
Right. Okay. Council?
I guess I would,
Councilmember
what Mr. Struck said earlier, I guess it looks to me like the drive-through in that one entrance, and then looping around back and coming out the same area. That, I guess I'm wondering, is a drive-through restaurant necessary? Fluid this is, if you're trying to retain the drive-through at all costs, or if that's incidental.
The drive-through is important, and as I've discussed with planning and zoning, the importance of the drive-through has always been important, but it has really grown in importance the last few years. And any retailer, whether it be quick service food or pharmaceutical, banking, drive-through is incredibly important. So this allows the option of that. And I know it was a bit of a hang-up at planning and zoning, but if you look at other commercial buildings in other cities, you actually see quite a bit of this, where there's one entrance and exit, and the people are set with the same situation. because neighbors don't always want to give access. So you just kind of have to go with it.
Councilmember Wendell.
Thank you, Mayor. I guess since Mr. Scogan's here, I'll ask a question that I was maybe going to reserve for our hearing, our second reading. But the council passed a commercial corridor overlay district in this area that really kind of indicated that the preference would be for parking to be behind the building, and this layout is the opposite of that. So maybe to the mayor's initial question, did you consider the restrictions of the overlay district when doing this layout, and would you be open to flip-flopping the parking and the position of the building, or is that a non-starter?
We've tried a few versions of that, and I understand what they're going for with the commercial corridor, but it doesn't really help the drive-through. It makes things really difficult. And the site plan that I have here, I mean, you see it in almost every city you go to, and so I'm not really reinventing the wheel here. I understand the intention of the commercial corridor, but it doesn't always work, and that's why the planned development districts exist. And plus, the church, right next to it is a giant parking lot as well. The hospital has the parking lot out in front, so it's not like it would be the only property with the parking in the front.
I think you make a good point that you do see this in a lot of cities, and I think our goal in passing the district was to avoid replicating that image in our commercial districts. And so the goal really is to make the buildings the focal point, bring them to the forefront. Unfortunately, we can't go back decades and reinvent what existing structures did in terms of where their parking was positioned, but I would tend to think that when we passed that overlay district, that was the intention, and I still feel like it was the right intention, and so I would hope if this project's to proceed, that would be one of the very low bars that I would hope that it could pass, would be to bring the building to the forefront and relocate the parking behind it. I think that was a well thought out plan when we passed that overlay district for commercial corridors.
Sure. And I understand the intention was good, but sometimes it doesn't always work out.
Seth, I got a you had there. If you do have, say, an entity that's going to serve food that you would expect to have a drive-through for,
Yes.
I envision a semi-truck having to back into this thing off of 22nd to unload product. I would hope that he's going to plan on being there at 4 o'clock in the morning so he doesn't have to deal with 22nd Avenue traffic.
Sure. And I'm in. Okay. And truck deliveries at 4 in the morning is really common. And those truck drivers, they have the shorter trucks.
Because it's going to be difficult for that truck to in the area. Just looking at the dimensions of your size of your street or your path around the building and stuff, there's no way a semi is going to be able to make that turn.
Right. They a lot of them are pretty skilled and they can make.
I envision a semi having to back up from 20 or put the flashers on and park out on 22nd. So, any other questions or comments from council? Thank you, Seth. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, move on to the next item. Item 8C, introduction and first reading on Ordinance 22-010, rezoning Outlet 1, excluding the north 40 feet, excluding H1 in the northeast quarter section, 1-T109 North, R50W, from an agricultural A district to a business B2 district. The north 325 feet of Lot 1, Richard Price First Edition, from a residence R3A apartments, mobile homes, manufactured housing district to a business B2 district, and the south 325 feet of the north 365 feet of the northeast quarter, excluding platted areas in section 1-T109N R50W from a residence R3 apartment district to a business B2 district.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. I'll try and simplify this for you. This is near the intersection of 20th Street South. To be on the southwest quadrant of that intersection. So the length east to west along 20th Street South. They're requesting the rezoning to a B2. We've saw some of this previously further west. I think property owners down in this area are getting excited for the new 20th Street South interchange and looking at properties in this area and what is the highest and best use. Commercial property down here would bring more value and benefit to the community as a whole. This request is just, as we mentioned, setting it up for future development. That area, really, the north couple hundred. There are some existing uses there that, as development occurs, we'll probably see redevelopment down there. For the time being, with those existing homes in the mobile home court, they would be considered a non-conforming use. This does come to you as a unanimous recommendation from the Planning Commission, and staff would stand for any questions that you may have.
So what we will do for those families who need to be relocated.
The city doesn't have a responsibility to assist with the relocation. That's a developer's responsibility. It's my understanding that they don't even have lease agreements with the owners of the property. They're just on a month-to-month lease for the lot rent. So this is a developer's request.
So the developer owns the property and those are rentals sitting on.
Correct. Yep. The developer owns all the property.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I have one question, Mike. Property to the north of that corner, is that B2 also?
Yeah, that's B2 on the north side of 20th Street there.
Right. There's Baptist Church and then the apartments that are right to the north of the rest of this area, right?
Apartments are actually to the west of the church.
Right.
So that property extends up to, I believe it's Moriarty Drive. It's not B2 all the way to Moriarty Drive. 150 feet or so that is residential up there.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Move on to the next item. Item 8D, introduction and first reading of Ordinance 22-007, rezoning Tract 1 Mendel Family Edition from an Agricultural A District to a Business B3 Heavy District. Mike Struck will review this item also.
Council members, this is a rezoning request by the Brookings School District to rezone a tract of land that they had purchased of the Mendel family farm. It's just immediately adjacent to the bike trail that's north of the softball complex. They're requesting a rezoning to a B3. They acquired this property with the intentions of partnering with Brookings Area Transit Authority for a new transportation facility down in this location, and so that's their request. Went through a comp plan amendment to allow for that type of use perspective. That has since been approved, and the Planning Commission send forward a unanimous recommendation to approve, and the Development Review Team and staff support the rezoning request to a B3. I'd stand for any questions you may have.
Okay. Comment on this item? Seeing none, does the council have any questions or comments? Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
And then we don't have any second readings. We don't have any other business, but we do have the most awaited progress report from our Assistant City Manager, Mr. Jake.
This is the February 2022 progress report. First up, as usual, is our interchange project. Banner Associates locally here has been selected to provide of the South Dakota Department of Transportation. Pre-construction meeting was held roughly within the last couple of weeks here to continue moving that project along. We are planning a groundbreaking ceremony for this project on May 11th, 2022. Depending on weather, we're hoping to resume this project either in March or April of this year. Construction taking place this year and concluding in 2023. We're also excited to think about the next phase of 22nd Avenue. This phase is looking at going from Eastbrook Drive, which is right next to Scooters, going south to A Street South. The process for this is to design this year and construct in 2023. The design process will include going from Eastbrook Drive all the way to 12th Street South, as that would be a more ideal cutoff point. However, finances will likely dictate that we stop at A Street South for construction. The municipal election is coming up on April 12th. There are 4 city council seats available, two 3-year terms, 1 2-year term, and 1 1-year term. Our last key date right now for this is the February 25th, last day to file, before we have election day on April 12th. The city does have the diversity signs available. These are created by the Brookings Human Rights Commission. I have to say the information here is a little outdated. We're down to 2 signs remaining with this current batch, but the Brookings Human Rights Commission is looking at opportunities to get additional signs in the near future. It is the hope of the Brookings Human Rights Commission that displaying these signs will not only reinforce the city's welcoming environment, but will also propel residents to reach out to their neighbors, build bridges of connection, and foster further dialogue. We have concluded our Thanks a Latte campaign, which included filling out a positive message to a healthcare worker, as well as including a sachet of coffee or hot chocolate with each of those notes. We have 1,300 healthcare workers here in our community, and that was our target goal, to make sure that every individual healthcare worker was able to receive these. We did exceed our goals and received 1,700 cards and sachets, though thank you to the community for participating in this, bringing joy to our healthcare workers, as well as our Public Information Officer, Chelsea Bakken, who coordinated this program. The Brookings Insights dash page is comprised of over 50 metrics that we've accumulated here to give insight into our community, as well as transparency with our operations. We do update this on a biannual basis, 6 months apart throughout the course of the year. The dashboard is now up to date with 2021 data and would encourage everyone at home to go and check this out. Over the past year, we have had 2,700 views, which is a great response to this. So we do see that folks are interested in what we're doing here, which is fantastic. To find this easily, if you go to the Brookings homepage and the Government tab on the top, on the right-hand side, you will see the Brookings Insight dashboard. We're currently in the process of conducting a community survey for assistance in making decisions with funds available from state and federal legislation. Some examples of that legislation includes the American Rescue Plan Act, the Infrastructure and Investment Jobs Act, as well as the 2022 legislative session. This did happen in multiple segments. Folks received a postcard in the mail asking them to participate, and that's for the statistically valid portion of this survey. We do also have the public participation portion open now, where any resident can go on to that and take that for additional feedback. We would encourage anyone who received the statistically valid link through the postcard to complete that at their earliest convenience. We do need about 30 more to meet our bare minimum threshold on that. For anyone watching tonight who would like to take this to provide additional insight, we do have the survey available for residents on the screen, as well as the survey available for our local business owners. These surveys do close on March 14th. Making great progress on our police facility. Completed to date, we've brought on an owner's representation services firm. We've completed the construction manager at risk resolution to authorize the use of that process. We've released RFPs for the design and engineering, as well as the construction management services. Both of those RFPs were due, most recently with the CMAR resolution due today, the design and engineering RFP due late last week. Next steps is we will look at our highly qualified firms who have submitted for both design and engineering and CMAR and bring forward a recommendation to City Council on which firm to proceed forward with. By the end of this summer, we have a target of achieving the Phase 1 goal, which is identifying a recommendation on a renovation or a new build, as well as developing our initial cost estimates and our conceptual designs. The Swift Health Center had 16 event days over the course of the past month. They had 1,200 attendees attend the BRBA Home Show, which is the Brookings Regional Builders Association, and they've also added a Director of Operations. With that, I'd be happy to answer your questions.
All right. Talk about the next meeting, March 8th, 2022. We have a small list of items on the consent agenda. We have Sdsu students report. Public Library is going to give us an update on the grant-funded activities for Black History Month. As of right now, no contracts or change orders or ordinance first readings, but we have the ones that we talked about tonight for second readings. And no other business at the time. Any questions or comments or subjects that the council would like to bring up? Seeing none, Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Meeting adjourned.